I can't what? Keep it in the episode?
This is a very big tangent.
This is a huge... Like, I don't even know what this episode is about anymore.
Sci-fi and pirates in space,
Sci-fi
stuff like
and
that.
fantasy, I guess. I don't know.
Hello.
You have a beautiful mic now.
Yes, and my voice sounds amazing, I'm sure.
I was thinking of this thing. Like, I had this idea, like, a couple days ago. Because I think in the first episode, I think we mentioned alternate history, which is
Yeah, we did.
I think it's a topic that we both enjoy, maybe in equal amounts. I'm not entirely sure, but
Probably you are into it a bit more than I am.
I guess.
Likely.
Likely, yeah. I was thinking because sometimes I just kind of like imagine what if this thing had happened instead of this thing. So I was thinking, I don't know why, but I just keep constantly thinking about the domination of the Western world, quote unquote, like
Europe.
Europe and America, how it kind of like sort of dominates the rest of the world, even though that's kind of changing right now, but that's a different story. I was thinking, because, they have dominated the planet for the past, like, what, 500 years maybe? I mean, basically since.
If you want to put a date on it, probably when we Portuguese people started going around the seas and finding oceanic routes to the
Yeah,
rest of the world.
yeah,
Then we
exactly.
start colonizing everything
Yeah,
and everyone.
it was basically the after the Renaissance when we, the Discovery Age. That's
Os
when,
descobrimentos.
yeah, Discovery Age. That's when the Europe really started dominating, basically colonizing everything, and the trade and stuff. So what I was thinking was, what if instead of that happening, what if, because Europe had
If
this.
it was the other way around,
No, I don't actually mean the other way around. I mean, like, because Europe had this huge jump in technology and stuff because of that, because of the trade routes and stuff. What if that never happened, in the sense that Europe did not dominate the trade
basically,
routes, and
what if
everyone, basically, what if everyone always on the same ground? So Africa, Europe, Asia, even America, like, the natives. What if the natives also built ships and traded with Europeans? And basically, because the Aztecs, when the Spanish arrived in Mexico and they found the Aztecs, they had their culture and their trade, but it was only inland. They had basically
Mhm,
no ships, and
mhm.
we had guns. Well, actually, did we have guns at that time? No, we didn't actually.
Yeah,
I don't think we did.
even if we didn't, we had smallpox blankets.
Exactly.
I
We
know
had
it's a joke and bad taste, but
No, but
yeah,
it's true. Like,
that's pretty much how it happened.
yeah,
We
that.
just got into there with a bunch of biological weapons
Hmm.
and wiped them all. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
that's.
not us specifically, because I know that the Portuguese. I mean, even though we did horrible shit, we tried to peacefully trade with lots of countries,
That's
and
true.
we, for like example, the Brazilians and the native Brazilians, we got there with mirrors and clothes, stuff like that, and we took their gold. It wasn't a fair trade, sure,
Hmm.
but at least we didn't, or I think we, at least that's what they taught me in school. We didn't wipe everyone out.
I
That
mean,
happened in Africa, northern Africa. There was a lot of bloodshed.
yeah.
Uh, ever going back to probably the Crusades. But yeah, even during that age, when we had this campaign in Northern Africa, there was a lot of bloodshed, yes. But everything overseas, as far as I'm aware, we were probably the most peaceful of them all.
I mean, I think all countries in Europe were kind of shitty, honestly. Like in
No,
they
yeah, of
all
course we were. We weren't offering anyone fair trades. No,
yeah,
we were
exactly.
the powerful ones. We had,
We were
even if we didn't have gunpowder at the time, we can. I don't know which year it was discovered, but still, we were far more technologically advanced than everyone else.
well, I think actually technically it was discovered in China, right? Gunpowder.
Yeah,
And
likely.
and
But
probably
then
probably the
when it was
Portuguese
put on
actually
bullets here
yeah,
in
but
Europe.
what I'm saying is probably it was after we arrived in China that we brought the gunpowder with us back, right?
I mean, there were land routes by the time too.
That's true, yeah, yeah. But they were blocked. Oh, that's also interesting because they were blocked because of the Ottoman Empire, I think.
Well, Wikipedia says that gunpowder was invented during the 9th century in China, and it was by Eurasia, spread all over by
Oh.
the end of the 13th century.
Oh, okay, okay. So we already had that. Okay. I guess it wasn't maybe like
And it was used first for warfare in the year 1000,
1000. Okay.
first
Interesting.
millennium.
Interesting. Okay. So basically my train of thought is, so imagine if, because if you look at other countries that did not, basically they were neither colonized nor they themselves colonized any other country. For instance, I think Armenia, Kazakhstan, those countries, basically, you look at them,
Landlocked.
they are landlocked and they were never really colonized
But
by
those
any
countries
country.
those countries are fairly recent. Most of the countries you just
No,
named
no,
came
Armenia,
came out of
no, Armenia is like, it was the
for
first country to be Christian country. It was like, they were founded
Mhm.
like in, Armenia is
Okay.
super old. Basically, imagine if the same thing with Armenia. I mean, this is kind of, I guess, unrealistic because the first country to, I think, develop international trade would clearly dominate the field and would start, colonizing, I guess. But let's imagine that that would not happen. Let's imagine that somehow the countries would not try to colonize any other country, and that the trade would just make the other countries, they would share the technology and they would grow together instead of over each other. Sort of like what
Mhm.
happened in, Brazil and America and Mexico and all those other countries that were basically all the Europeans, well, not all of them, but like half of the Europeans migrated to those countries and basically made, new countries that are sort of, children of the old European countries. Uh, if those countries had just stayed with those people, the natives, and they had developed the technology based on, the knowledge of Europe and Asia as well, I think that would be a really interesting setting, for instance, for, sci-fi. Let's imagine, for instance,
Mhm.
the Aztecs
I'm
who,
thinking in aesthetic terms, if the culture had remained mostly in, it
yeah,
would translate into some very cool aesthetic. I
yeah,
think you would
like,
agree.
imagine like, Cyberpunk, but Aztec Cyberpunk. That would be so interesting.
Yeah, cause yeah, now that I think about it, most of the depictions we have of cyberpunk things are always very Western. You don't
Exactly.
see a lot of that
Exactly.
coming from other things. Now, another thing that would be cool to see, I'm thinking now more to the east side, would be Australia and New Zealand and stuff like that.
Yeah. That
That would
that's
also be very cool
that's
if
very
the
yeah.
aesthetic maintained the same.
Yeah, that's very interesting because the Maori people, they were basically like completely like they actually
They are
stayed.
isolated, yeah.
Yeah, they're isolated, and they actually stayed remotely. I mean, they weren't intact because they were colonized by the British, but what I'm saying is like because they were in a place that was not like very strategically good, or I
And
guess
probably didn't have a lot of natural resource too.
that's true as well. They didn't have a lot of land. New Zealand
Yeah,
is not very big. It's
it's very
basically,
small.
yeah.
Probably not a lot of gold or silver or any precious metals.
Yeah, and basically the Maori people, they were not that endangered in terms of culture, and you can see that today. They're still native Maori in New Zealand, and they still have their
Very
culture.
little, to be honest. I actually,
Sure.
when I found alien weaponry,
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a documentary on them, and there's not a lot of, I mean, native Maoris anymore. And those that are, I heard this grandpa telling like a story of him going to school for the first time, and they were teaching English, and he didn't speak English, he just spoke, you know,
The Maori language.
yeah, the
Mm.
language as they call it. I don't want to mispronounce their word. And he got slapped by his teacher for not knowing English, and he got back home
Jesus.
and told his mom like or his grandma what happened in school. And on the next day, she put him on the back of the horse, rode with him to school, and tore apart the teacher.
Oh my goodness.
I
Was
mean,
that
it
like?
didn't kill her. It didn't kill her. It tore
Holy crap.
apart like in a
Jesus.
figurative sense. I mean, the kid was not. He was speaking his language, what he was taught at home.
That's yeah. Language is actually a very big part of culture and the identity of the countries and the nations, and the fact that the Europeans basically the first thing that they did to colonize the countries was to teach them their language and not allow them to speak their native languages, and that's actually a very effective way, unfortunately, to
Destroy a
transf
culture,
yeah, and to transform that culture into basically your culture.
assimilating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree there.
Yeah,
And
but
it's a sad thing when such a cool culture like theirs and well most cultures get
Mhm.
destroyed by in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's one of those things that just I wish I knew more about those cultures. And for
I'm not
instance,
sure like how much you can get on resources about very specific ones, but what others are studied and um there's documents on them and registered stuff, things that they left that still stand, and there's a lot that we know about them.
yeah, yeah.
But
Luckily, we still.
can you think even older than that? Like, for example, what if all those legends about the Egyptians having electricity or contacts with aliens were true, and if they were still, doing in around today and doing interstellar travels and stuff like,
Yeah, yeah. That would be.
very, but that's exported in Stargate.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that's kind of Egyptians are kind of like the cliche
Yeah.
OG culture that everyone kind of looks up to being, you know, sci-fi and stuff. I feel like that's kind of the cliche. Um,
Um,
what I would really love is
what
to
about
see Vikings. Vikings
Vikings? Yeah.
Vikings would be really interesting because I don't know if you know this, but I really like the ancient alien theory. Even though like I know that everyone jokes about aliens, like the aliens built the pyramids. Oh, aliens built Stonehenge. Everyone jokes about that because it's silly to think that aliens would actually like come down and it's a bit it's super over the top in some in some cases, I guess. Um, but I truly believe that there could have been some interaction, I guess, if aliens did actually find Earth like thousands of years ago. Like, sure, why not? Of course, I'm not gonna be like 100% certain that that happened because, of course, we have no idea. We have no records of those things. We have a few records, but we have to kind of interpret them our own ways because they had their legends, they had their gods, and you could interpret that. Oh, maybe the gods actually were real beings that came down from the heavens, I guess. Um, and
Could be.
and
I
that
know that going again to the east, I know that Hindu religion rests a lot on the cosmos, stuff like that.
yeah, But you know, I'm not going to say that, oh, those things, those legends are all based in on fact, because you know there's a lot of things that are symbolic, and you know people like to personify forces of nature like thunder, like the ocean, like the sky, obviously, because the sky is like
Yeah,
the most powerful thing you can experience,
the sun,
basically. The sun, exactly.
the moon.
So it's like I'm not saying.
Yeah, it all starts in the sun, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the
It's
sun
always
is
sun
maybe.
god,
I don't know.
the first one. Yeah, it's always like it's the light, it's the warmth is life
That's
basically.
true. Yeah,
If
that's
you
true.
look at most religions and pantheons, usually
The
the
sun.
main god, the sun god, is usually the main god.
Yeah, there are
And
some
you
exceptions.
also see a lot of that in Dark Souls, completely unrelated to this, but the first lord or the most powerful lord is Lord of the Sun.
Yeah, that makes
He's
sense.
basically Zeus and Ra, I guess. I'm whatever.
Zeus and Ra. Yeah,
He does use thunder, so
cool. But yeah,
yeah.
I would really like this. These are just some really. I just really like sci-fi when it starts mixing things. I'm just so interested to just see like culture explored in this way, you know, like, you know, the religion, which I also really love, but not just religion, but also like, you know, the fashion and the language of these cultures that most of them don't exist anymore. I would really like to see people just pick up on those things and kind of like explore, like what would they look like if they were put in a sci-fi environment,
Well,
in
can I?
space.
Okay. Um, I know that Warhammer
Mhm.
is a very specific setting, but it draws a lot of influences from lots of places. I mean, it's basically Warhammer fantasy put in space. Warhammer 40K, like 40,000 years in the future.
That's really
It
cool. Yeah.
has a lot of religion. It has a lot of specific cultures imbued into it. I mean, in Warhammer Fantasy, you also see a lot of that, but some of those don't actually ever translate into space because they wouldn't fare well. For example, there are records of dwarves, of a race of dwarfs, but they were wiped out because, I mean, there's a lot of death around, and if you're not going to run, you're goofed.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, there's elves in space, and now that we were mentioning Vikings, I was thinking that there's an entire faction of Astartes, an entire chapter
Mm.
that are space wolves, and they well, inside the community, they like to mock them for being space furries. Um, but they are basically Vikings. They come from a planet frozen, or they're Primarch
Nice.
with a beard and clothes clothed in wolf skin. They they usually take very uh, Nordish sounding names.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if you're looking into some specific of a example put out there, something in space that would resemble that, you could look into Warhammer 40K for a lot of things.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a really interesting. Like I personally don't really know Warhammer. I've never played it. I've never
I
really
never played.
understood.
I wish I had.
But
It's
you've played.
very. I know that it's very tactical and different from, like, for example, D&D that we play a lot.
Yeah.
But the lore, and this is something that I when I play a game, or specifically a game like this, that's huge. And I can give another example in World of Warcraft. Is that they stand in a lot of lore. They have so much that you can go into. I mean, I've never played Warhammer, but I know a lot of the lore by watching videos, from reading books. Um, there's so much to dive into without having the need to actually play the game. It's
Mhm.
so much more than that. There's people that have the miniatures and they don't play the game. They do just a hobby out of painting them. There's stuff to please everyone. If you like, I don't know, Vikings, for example, you could just paint space wolves. If you're like me and you dig vampires, there's a faction of, I want to call them angels because they're based on the best boy out there, that have this genetical defect that makes them want to drink blood and eat. Like they'll go into cannibalism during a fight.
Jesus.
There's chaos demons. There's again space elves. There's chaos space elves. There's
Okay.
an entire race of mindless. Imagine like a hive mind, like the Zerg from StarCraft. That they are so massive that, can you imagine the size of a galaxy? Okay.
Okay, that's huge.
Now imagine fingers coming out of that galaxy, like through the galaxy,
Jesus.
like grasping the galaxy. And on the tip of those fingers, there's like millions upon billions of beings, of creatures that adapt based on what they consume, and their purpose is to consume everything.
Jesus Christ. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
there's so much to discover. It's so fun, and I've actually started going into it because of a YouTube channel that does text to speech. What if the emperor had a text to speech device?
Oh, I
And
think
so
you yeah.
I've mentioned it a lot of times, but basically the god emperor of mankind is sitting on a golden throne that sustains him because he's been killed during the Horus heresy.
Okay.
One of his sons betrayed him, and he's pretty much dead. So, one of his, I don't know, 24 sons or whatever, yeah, 20 genetically engineered transhuman sons based on
Okay.
his DNA. And one of them gets him, this is obviously non-canon, but gets him text-to-speech device, so he can actually put into words what he's been feeling for the last 10,000 years. And it's a blast to watch. They have a
Okay.
lot of fun,
Okay, that's
and it
interesting.
explains a lot of lore.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, Warhammer is like it's the 40K version is like well, it's basically sci-fi fantasy like
But on
the
steroid, everything is on
yeah,
steroids and on crack and on meth.
yeah,
It's
it's yeah.
so immense. Like, we're not talking about individuals. I mean, yes, there are stories about chapters, story
Yeah, but
chapters,
it's like it's
but
more about the
it's always about
factions.
the scale of things. People are like, they can destroy planets with the press of a button. Any faction here. There's a faction of space robot zombies that have this regenerative metal. It doesn't matter what you, they are not stopping because
Yeah,
their souls were consumed by gods and they cannot feel anything,
yeah,
and they just want to destroy.
yeah. You you actually mentioned space robots, and that reminded me of a certain Disney movie that I think has been overlooked so many times, and that I would love if someone made an RPG based on the universe of Treasure Planet, because it's just I watched that movie as a kid. I know it scared me a lot
Why?
because I was really
But who
young.
scared you? Any character?
Uh, not any character, but like there were some scary characters, I guess.
Yeah, but one in specific. That's what I meant.
Uh, that crab-looking guy, I can't remember his name.
The analogy to Long John Silver.
No, no, John Silver is the villain.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like the
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert. Whoops. But God, I can't remember his name. It's not.
The
It's not.
crab looking
It's
thing.
not. It's not one of the main characters. Okay, it's just like a guy that I think he was like an
Okay, it doesn't matter.
he was
But
like an
was it a
agent.
character that's
Yeah, it was like an agent. I can't remember. He scared me, but I love the aspect and just the idea, the concept of Disney going out of their way to basically completely reinvent a traditional story, the story of, Treasure Island, which is basically probably one of the most influential pirate stories ever, maybe even the first like big one, I don't know. But like it's just the concept of it, you know, space pirates. It's awesome.
Unfortunate. Do you know the sad story of that movie actually?
I know it's basically the movie like they these guys
They sabotage Disney sabotaged the directors of the movie pretty much.
basically, these directors, they had been
Well, let's not go.
they had been working so long in Disney, and Disney decided, okay, make
You guys can do your own thing.
yeah, you guys can finally do the project that you've been thinking about
This
for
whole
so long. Yeah, exactly. And they make it. And honestly, if you look at that movie, the amount of animation and CGI that they used for the period, I think it was, what was it, like 2002?
2002, correct.
2002. That's
Ding 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 ding.
like, was Lord of the Rings even like out by that time? I don't think so.
Yes, Lord
It
of the
was
Rings came out. I think so. It came out in 2001, I think.
2001. But you mean like the first
Um,
one? Yeah. But like, Lord of the Rings has
Methinks.
some
Yeah,
really good
2001, The Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings.
It has some terrible CGI, let me tell you that.
Sure, it has.
That cave troll is awful. The Balrog, awesome.
Yeah, the
But
Balrog
that
looks
cave
great.
troll,
There are some good. Okay.
I remember as if it was yesterday. And sorry to interrupt you, but
Okay.
Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone came out at the same time and had a mountain troll or cave troll. I don't know. It had a troll.
That troll, yeah.
They used a lot more. I think they used a lot more of practical effects, but the
Probably.
CGI. I think at least if I were to compare it today, I probably would have a different opinion.
Okay.
But at the time I thought, and my dad agreed with me, that the troll from Harry Potter was better than the one from
Yeah.
Weta Workshop
Yeah.
and Lord of the
Yeah. Okay. Okay. But what I'm saying is, like, came out in 2002, Treasure Planet, and it was extremely expensive to make that movie because they used. I think it was the first Disney movie to use CGI, as far as
140 million.
as far as I know. Yeah, 100. That is a huge budget.
It did not even break even.
It did not even break even. Yeah, that's the sad truth. Is, basically they did not do almost any publicity for this movie.
No, they did not.
I think this movie came out.
Very sad.
It came out at the same time as another movie.
I used to go a lot to the movies when I was a kid with my parents, and I do not remember seeing this movie ever in the screening.
That's, yeah,
Very, very sad.
shame.
But I do have the DVD for it. It is a great movie. I really.
Yeah.
It had some cool vision.
Yeah,
It really
and
did.
I'm
The way-
really.
It was very steampunky, and I think that's why you like it. Like the thing of the
Yeah.
ships and the space being this breathable thing.
I just yeah, you hit me there because I don't know.
No, I don't. I like steampunk
This
too.
this when I
I
saw,
can
like,
call you on it because I
yeah,
like it too.
okay. When
You know that's why I like it.
I think that there's, I don't know if it's the opening shot of the movie, but there's this shot where you see this city that I can't remember the name of, that is basically
Been so long.
a moon-shaped city, a floating city in the shape of a crescent. And I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. Because you just, the way,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
like, so
yes,
many
amazing.
holy,
Yes,
like,
yes.
I as a kid, I was fascinated by that city. It was insane, like, holy shit. And
Yeah, it was really good. Now that I think
yeah.
of it, I need to watch that movie again. It's been too long.
and
It deserves it.
and Captain Flint, the villain, that pirate that stole, the treasure and buried the treasure in Treasure Planet. Um, when you see like his skeleton, because like you see him like told in the stories, and
Ah,
you,
yeah, he's holding the chest, right?
yeah,
Or is my mind playing tricks?
I think he's holding a key. I can't
Or
remember.
yeah, he's holding
He's
something.
holding a thing in his hand, but like I watching like his skeleton, like because he has like what 6 or 8 eyes, and seeing like the skeleton with like the sockets, like the 8 sockets of his eyes. It's like that was so cool. I
Oh,
just
yeah, it's not 8, it's 6.
it's 6. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I was
mind playing tricks.
yeah, mind playing
It's
tricks.
fine. It's fine, yeah, but now
It's
I
a
remember the
lot of
character.
eyes.
Yeah,
But that was
it
so
is.
cool. I just loved like seeing his skeleton. It was like holy crap, it's the guy. I think I did not like the little robot that I can't remember his name.
Ben, that one I do
Ben.
remember because I
Yeah.
had a little ad of him,
Yeah, I don't. I also had like a
a
little.
Happy Meal or something.
I had a little like toy of him, but I did not like that character. I remember thinking
He
that he
was
was
annoying.
he was basically almost like a Jar
Like,
Jar Binks.
I was gonna say that.
But yeah, someone should goddamn make an RPG or some kind of video game about this movie.
But not about the movie, but
Not
that's
about the
probably
movie.
impossible to happen because if uh,
Yeah.
unless you get the rights for it, but in the
The
same with the same setting or with the same in the
No, I
same
I
way
mean
that
yeah, I mean
wait,
like I mean in the same worlds. Maybe not the same characters, but the same kind of, world of, pirate ships, but they're fucking spaceships, and
but literally ships
they
like
use
going
solar
in space.
sails. They
Yeah,
basically they invented solar. Okay, they didn't invent solar sails probably, but
but you can breathe in space. That's the thing.
yeah, that's super
Like
interesting.
that's cool as heck.
Yeah, and
Why are
basically
we not funding this?
yeah, and basically like the ships use, solar winds or
Yeah, something like that.
something like that, but it makes sense. Like a science. Okay.
Mm-hmm. In the setting, it makes
Yeah,
sense,
in
and
the
it's
setting it
beautiful.
makes sense.
And I do understand you, and it
Yeah,
it should be out there.
it should exist.
Holy crap!
So yeah.
It should. It totally should. But yeah, you were talking about the way Disney was reinventing Treasure Island. But isn't that what Disney pretty much does about everything?
Yes, but what
Reinvents.
yeah, Disney it's always an adaptation. Like it's
They're
never
classic
a
stories, yeah.
yeah,
And
they're
this was probably trying to do so as well.
this was I think probably the most far out Disney has ever gone in terms of reinterpreting a story, in terms of at least the setting, because
Mm-hmm.
even Frozen Frozen takes a lot of liberties with its source material, because it basically, the original story of Hans Christian Andersen, it's
Which
almost
story?
it's almost unrecognizable. It's called the Snow Queen or something, Ice Queen, Snow Queen. That's it. Okay.
An original fairy tale written by Danish author Hans Christian Andersen, December 21st,
Yeah.
1844.
Yeah. Snow Queen. Okay. So basically, the thing is, Snow Queen is a villain. So Elsa in the original, I don't know if she was called Elsa. I'm not entirely
In
sure.
Frozen, yeah.
In Frozen she is, but what I'm saying is like in the source material, I'm not sure if she's called Elsa. I don't even think that Hannah even exists, or Hans, or any of those characters, much less Olaf. But whatever. Because Disney always has to add that one character
Apparently,
for the
Snow Queen.
yeah. Um, Basically they took a lot of liberties with that source material. Like they basically like they readapted it. Like basically they changed the whole premise of that story, because I think that the original premise was a lot darker and a lot more, a lot sadder and a lot less uplifting than Frozen is. Um, and like I don't mind, because I'm not entirely.
So you watched Frozen?
Yeah, I watched Frozen.
Okay, I did not.
You did not.
I did not. No,
Oh, okay. I thought you did, cause you
I
know,
did not.
I thought everyone did, but no,
Yeah,
I guess you didn't.
I
Okay.
should have. I mean, I'm still missing like Princess and the Frog. Missing Moana.
I
I'm
have
missing Brave.
I have not
The
watched
Disney
Brave,
movie.
Moana. I haven't watched I haven't watched a
So why is
lot.
Frozen special? There's a lot of
It's
them in my list.
it's not. People keep
I'm
saying that.
kind of having a falling out with Disney. I did watch
Yeah, I
Finding
understand.
Dory, and
I also
I
watched
liked
Finding
it.
Dory.
I liked it.
Finding Dory was interesting because
I liked Hank. Having an octopus in the movie like makes it instantly like
yeah, I liked Hank. Hank was really cool. I love the way that Hank like transformed his body because octopuses can
octopuses are
actually
like that.
they can
Yeah.
actually do that,
Shit.
and
If
that was really cool.
I would like to have like 3 pet that in my life. Doesn't have to be like at the same time.
Wait,
One of them would be
wait.
an octopus.
You you wanted to have 3 pets? One is an
Yeah.
octopus.
Like special pets aside from cats and dogs and regular stuff. Things that you cannot have.
Okay, okay.
One of them would be an octopus. They would require a lot of work to keep. I mean, poor guy.
How would you keep an octopus? Like you
I
would
have
need
no idea, man. Exactly. I would need a big tank.
you would
and
need
a lot of-
a big ass fish tank.
Yeah, I would. Then I would like to have a raccoon. I would. The fuckers are cute as heck.
Okay,
Thirdly-
that's I can see why.
A crow.
Oh. Wouldn't you prefer
Because
a
they are
raven?
Yeah, one of those.
Well, actually, I know that a raven has a black beak and a crow has a orange beak, I think.
No,
I think that's the difference.
you're thinking of another.
Or is it the other way around? Which one has the orange beak?
I don't know its name in English, but I'm going to check.
Oh, it's blackbird, I think. Isn't it?
Um,
I think it's blackbird. I can't remember.
Turdus melura, and that is the common blackbird.
Okay, there you go. I would
Those are beautiful too. I had a lot of those in
Yeah.
my hometown.
I would actually also like to have a pet crow because crows are really interesting. They can
They talk?
imitate. Yeah, they can imitate
Yeah.
humans, sort of like parrots do,
Mhm.
which is really interesting.
And they grow very big, and they're probably high maintenance. And I can I can't even take care of myself. Let's be honest.
And they're very prevalent in Gothic literature, so that is a plus on my book.
Yeah, too. Nevermore.
Nevermore. Wait, that's a raven.
Yeah, Quoth the Raven. Again, is there much
the
of a
Raven.
difference? I don't know.
I think there is a difference. One of them, I think.
Probably, but
don't know. I don't-
it's meh. Beside the
Beside the point.
it's the blackbird with the black beak that can speak.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sure. So I.
The ravens, I think, are the ones that like grow very big. Crows are probably.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Crows are smaller, I think. When I was a kid, I wanted to have a lynx as a pet.
Damn.
I really liked lynxes, and I still do. I still really like lynxes. Can't
They're
really.
cute cats.
Yeah, they're basically cats, but way more wild.
Mm-hmm.
They're Iberian. They're like the OG cats from this region, I guess. So yeah, as far as I know,
They're probably the biggest ones around.
probably yeah. So yeah,
There's no tigers or
So
lions.
my three pets would really be yeah. Also, I would like a crow, a lynx, and a moth.
but a very big moth
A very big moth, like a giant, like a moth
of
the
like
size,
a volcanoa type of thing.
like a moth the size of my hand at
Damn.
least, something like that. Yeah, because
Give me the lamp.
he- give me the lamp. Here's the thing about moths. I feel like people don't really understand why I like moths so much, because basically,
Here comes a blooper.
let me explain why moths are so good. Because basically, you know, everybody likes butterflies, I think. And basically moths are goth butterflies. It's true.
I cannot believe this is your argument.
It is. Like, come on. It's so interesting. Like,
Moths are goth butterflies. What?
Yeah, that's my argument.
Valid.
Thanks
Fine,
for
I'll
watching.
allow it. Oh my god.